I feel like a child who's been given a second helping of pudding today, because I have not one but two legends of the South African arts world with me on the couch today. Firstly, it's a warm welcome back to poet, writer and storyteller Sindiwe Magona. Her latest release is called Theatre Road, and it's the biography of our second guest, actress and musician Thembi Mtshali Jones. And I know some of you are going to feel the urge to call her Toko after years of watching her on Scooty's Nice. I don't think she'll mind if you do. If you do want to call in and say hello or send a message, please do use the voice notes at your disposal. Welcome to both of you. It's wonderful to have you today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Sindiwe, I mean, we've chatted before about your previous books, but this partnership really intrigues me, because this is a story that starts, I know, when you gave Thembi one of your books, I think more than 30 years ago. And she then developed that into a one-woman play, Mother to Mother, which really played a huge role in cementing her fame as an actress. Did you ever imagine back then that one day you'd be working together like this, that you'd be writing her story?
You know, it's a strange thing, but it's a kind of a gift that keeps on giving. You know, because the friendship just keeps on growing and amazing me.
I know it's taken you nearly a decade to get this book to print. Is that just because you are both so good at what you do that you're always in demand and always traveling and always busy?
That's her fault.
It's her fault. Thembi?
Hi, Pippa.
Hi.
Well, I've been working and traveling a lot. We started in
11.
Don't say. In 2011, and we were very enthusiastic when we started. And then I started getting jobs, traveling, and then Sindiwe will call me and say, "Hey, I'm waiting." And I'll say, "Okay, I'll write like a page and send it to you." I said, "No, not a page, pages." But then we sort of like revisited it, now and then until last year. Yeah, was it
late last
year, when I said to Sindiwe, "Oh my God, I'm turning 70 next year," and Sindiwe said, "This is the time to finish the
deadline.
book. That's it. No excuses." And by then I'm working in Durban and fully booked every day, because I'm doing a daily show, and but I had sleepless nights.
But you did it.
Yes.
I mean, reading it, I saw what the problem was, because you just kept on creating another chapter. Every time you did something else extraordinary and interesting. And I mean, I felt for you, Sindiwe, as the author.
It's been that kind of life.
Yeah.
I felt for myself.
Yeah, but it's a life of a 70-year-old woman. I've had a very long life and very interesting life.
Now that you have, and there's so much of it crammed between these covers, we can't cover it all. But I do want to pick up with the show that really was a game changer for your career, Thembi, with Epitombi.
Yes.
You were originally hired as an understudy for the role of Mama Tembu. It was literally the lead actress getting sick and having a day off that gave you a big break, wasn't it?
Yes. She happened to be sick on the day when the producers were coming to watch the run-through for the show. And then the director said, "Okay, fill in." And I did. And I did my best. And after that, it was goodbye. I got the role, and I made sure I never got sick.
Because the next understudy might be waiting in the wings.
Exactly.
I mean, it was an extraordinary shift of life for you, from having grown up in very humble circumstances, watched your mom go to work as a domestic worker, struggling often, and yourself following in her footsteps, to suddenly be part of an international touring production, traveling the world.
Yes.
Must have been, you must have felt like you'd stood into somebody else's life.
Yeah, it was. I mean, from the very first production that I did, Umabata, when I went overseas to London, I was still working as a domestic worker then, because I went there and then came back to my work as a domestic. But it was weird, because when we went to London and staying in a hotel, and a white woman coming to clean up for us, and I thought it was very strange, because no. In South Africa, white women don't do this job. It's our job. and then after Umabata, it was Ipintombi, and the will just led me to different places.
Yeah. One of the chapters I really enjoyed reading was how that production took you to West Africa for the first time, and you're experiencing Nigeria and a country where black people could aspire to anything.
Exactly.
From the lens of a South African. Just share with us a little bit about what you experienced on that trip.
Well, number one, we took a chartered flight from Rome, which was Nigerian Airways. The pilot was black, air hostesses were black, everyone was black, in the flight. and here we were, we coming from South African Airways, where everything was white, from air hostesses to the pilots. And our director, who was white, she actually thought the flight wouldn't make it to Nigeria. She hadn't seen black people flying anything or working, as waitresses in the aeroplane. And when we got there, we were stars. For the first time, we felt like we were stars.
Yeah.
And we were chauffeured in limousines. And, Nigerians can play very big. We were chauffeured into limousines. We were taken to a 5-star hotel, which was the first for us, because in South Africa, we didn't have any, we were not allowed to those 5-star hotels. Yeah. And life suddenly just changed for us, and meeting with those black people who were so proud of being themselves, being proud of being black people. And for us, it gave us a different light, like, oh, so you can be black and be, and be like this, and be a proud person. It changed. It really changed us in a different way.
That trip also brought a really seminal moment in your life, because it brought a very special friendship into your life. You discovered that Miriam Makeba is staying at the same hotel that you're in. And tell us, you literally went, please tell us what room she's in. We're going to go knock on the door and say hello. What was that first meeting like?
We were staying at the hotel called, what was it? Palace something. And it was on our first week. And then we were told, Miriam, do you know who is here? Because everyone at the hotel knew that we were South Africans. Yeah. And they knew Miriam Makeba is a South African. At the reception, they said, do you know who has just checked in here? And we said, who? We had no idea. I said, Miriam Makeba. What? She is in room. I don't know why they told us the room. She's in room 505. We just went there to her room with our bags and everything like that, and we knocked at her door. And she already knew that we were staying at the hotel, and she saw us. She started crying, and she was like, she was touching us. And oh my God, you're smelling of home, you're smelling of home. And later I would ask her, why did you say we're smelling of home? Were we smelling coal from coal stoves? But it was amazing, and that started a very great relationship with her, because later on Tommy took me to New York, and then when I decided to stay, and Miriam came over there to work, and we began a very long relationship. Yeah. Until she passed away.
So let's fast forward to the days in New York and that very difficult decision for you to stay. The production had gone there with an intent to run for a year. Yes. It was shut down within weeks because of the protests outside the theatre.
Unfortunately, it was 1976, and the protest had just started in South Africa, and Ipintombi had travelled. And we had been on West End with no problem, and then when we were in New York on Broadway, it was just at the wrong time. The whole world was focusing on South Africa, seeing South Africa burning, Soweto, and the children running out of South Africa. And at the same time, when we were there, young kids like Tsietsi Mashinini were arriving in New York, being interviewed. And here we were dancing and singing with the Ipintombi show, and they said, whoa. We don't want this show. We want a show that's going to tell us exactly what's going on in South Africa. And we say, but this show has been running for years. We can't suddenly just, change the show to talk about South African politics and all that. So, and from the first day the show was picketed, even our friends, South African friends, they would come and visit us and say, later we'll be picketing outside.
They wouldn't come and watch it.
Yeah, they didn't come and watch it. Sadly, the show had to be closed down.
It did, though, create the window for you to stay in New York.
Yes, we decided, like eight or nine of us, although one of them decided to leave later. We decided, no, we're going to stay. I mean, who wants to leave New York now? We just arrived, so we decided, okay, we're going to create something for ourselves and stay on. Yeah. And then things were just happening, and then I met Hugh Masekela, started working with him, and
So the career trajectory took off. Sindiwe, if I can bring you back in here, reading that section of the book, I was acutely aware that you too had a long stretch away from home working for the UN. Was it emotional for you to engage with Thembi's stories of that period in her life and the longing for home and the missing your daughter who was back at home? And you never lost your sense of longing for home. Did you feel that quite acutely writing that section?
Yes, and a lot more. When I eventually do my book 3 about the story of my life, this is going to feature, because listening to her, writing with her, I grew. A lot of attitude changed for me, and I'm just blessed. And to see the sameness of our lives and the huge difference and the emotional distance. If you ask me, even when I retired, if I could ever feel a kinship, a friendship with someone, like, the answer would have been a definite no. And look at us today. I am heartened to realize that my negative perception of people in showbiz is shared by even her family. I'm not alone. Yeah. And the thing is, for me, it's an affirmation of something I now embrace, that to change, to see differently, doesn't shrink you, it grows you. I have grown.
That's an incredibly powerful statement.
I have grown. To watch Thembi and to get to know her as such a family-oriented person was, for me,
eye-opening, to say the least.
Very.
The book is also an affirmation of the importance of relationships and personal relationships, and how the small act of kindness or of bravery of a single person can change a life's trajectory entirely. And I'm not going to give too many of those stories away. I want our listeners to read the book for themselves, but you will understand what I mean by saying there are many points along your road, Thembi, where somebody else reaching out a hand to help, or somebody else saying, you've got to take this opportunity no matter what the sacrifice, is a life changer.
And agency on her part. Yeah. Because other people can say, this is right, but you still have to do the work. And she rose to the occasion. There were people, even family, who were saying, no. But once her mind was made up, she took opportunities when they were presented to and ran with them.
Whether those were on stage, on television, on the big screen, and in the decision to come back home. Now, I have to wrap for time purposes, but I can't not mention that earlier this year you received the Living Legends Award from the National Black Theatre Festival in the USA.
Yes.
After all the time you'd spent there, the work you'd done there, the relationships you'd built there, that must have been an incredibly proud moment for you.
It was. When I got that email in January, early January, I couldn't believe it. They said, we want to honor you. We have seen your work and we still want to see more of your work. And I went there and I was honored with all these other great actors that I had never even thought that I could meet. And I was there sharing the table with them, sharing stories. It was wonderful.
Well, congratulations on that incredible award and on the body of work. I mean, from television to film to stage and more stage. I get the sense that theatre is still your
my
first love, isn't it?
It is.
Behind the microphone, I should mention as well. The book is called Theatre Road,
by
My Story.
A new publisher.
And yes, thank thank you. I was about to get to that. Now, the publisher is Caravan Press, and who are doing amazing work bringing beautiful stories like this to light. And I do want to mention that there is a book launch tonight at the Book Lounge in Rilland Street. So I've only had 15 minutes. If you'd like an hour or more to get to grips with this and hear more of the story, please get yourself to the Book Lounge tonight. 5:30 for 6 p.m. is when the event is happening. And get yourself to a bookstore and buy a copy of Theatre Road, My Story as Told to Sindiwe Magona. It is the life story of Thembi and Mtshali Jones. I have no doubt that there has to be a sequel because I can see that there are more chapters still to be written. But thank you both so much for being with us today to share a glimpse.
Thank you
so much.
very much.